Max, I'm going to start with you on this. What's your reaction to the potential college hoops reform here?
I think they're very good suggestions. I like the recommendations. I think that they should be adopted. But I will say it still doesn't address the underlying issue, which is all that money. That money will find its way toward a competitive advantage and therefore toward the kids. Like, the corruption will still be there. Now, I understand the perfect is the enemy of the good. And just because it's not perfect doesn't mean you shouldn't implement things because it'll make it better. And I also understand that this is all done with the premise that there is a place for college sports as amateur sport, right? So you're saying, hey, you can go to the G League or to the NBA whenever you're ready, basically. And it'd be nice if the NBA would support the G League, by the way, with more money, so those salaries would be more enticing. But if you opt not to, if you opt to go to college instead, then there will be very strict rules in terms of enforcing the amateurism. And that is fair, but I would like to point out that the college system is still the star-making system, that they'd still be making money hand over fist on labor that really wouldn't be compensated, and that unless they turn the G League into also a star-making system where which would be comparable to college, with that level coaching and TV exposure, et cetera, the reality is a lot of these kids are still going to want to go to the college program. And if you point a camera at that stuff and charge advertisers money and charge money for tickets, et cetera, and there's a pile of cash there, until you address that, you will not root out corruption. So I like the recommendations, but I think more can be done.
Thanks, Stephen A. Let me tell you what I believe in. I believe in very, very clear rules and very clear, harsh punishments. I believe in that when it comes to parenting. I believe in that when it comes to government. I believe in that when it comes to criminal justice. And I believe it here as well. And this is a good step for the NCAA in moving towards having clear, bright line rules and hard, more than slap on the wrist punishments. Lifetime bans for coaches that violate ethics and rule violations, great. 5-year bans, 5-year suspensions, great. This is much better than, what are we doing, 9 games, 1 game? Jim Boeheim got 9, Pitino got 1. Look, I'll keep using the analogy. Parents, oh, don't do this, don't do that. Stop it, stop this, stop that. I'm gonna put you in timeout. Multiple warnings, weak punishment. What do you get? You get disobedient kids. Kids even like it when it's bright line rules and bright line punishments. Standards of behavior are set. This is what the NCAA is moving towards, and this is good. Max, one thing I totally agree on is this doesn't take the incentive away. Let's not pretend like there's not going to be an incentive to cheat, but you can't. You can't take that away. The NCAA is a star-making vehicle, as you pointed out. It's a money-making vehicle, as you pointed out. Doing away with the one-and-done rule, which I believe all 3 of us on this set agree should be done away with.
Yeah.
That's not going to fix this problem either. That won't fix it. But what will fix it, or at least get us as close as we possibly can, is bright rules, bright punishments. This is a good step.
Well, it's a good step. I don't have a problem with it. I'm not going to rave about the commission as of yet. They put forth some good ideas. Let's see whether or not how much influence they have, and whether or not they achieve their goal of having all of this implemented by August. That's what Emmett said that he wanted. That's what the commission said it wished for. Let's see if it actually happens. That's number 1. Number 2. Even though I have no problem with the suggestions that were made, I do wish that somehow, some way, they could coax the NBA to be a bit more involved. Getting the NBA to get rid of the one-and-done rule is one thing. How about making sure that the NBA play a role in making sure that a heavy hand is brought down upon those coaches who violated? Because there are plenty of times where you have a coach that can't get a job in college because they had a major rules violation, but they end up in the NBA as an assistant or anything like that. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that if you're corrupt, if you're a rules breaker, if you're a rules breaker, if you've transgressed in that way, but there's an outlet, there's somewhere, there's a cushion to fall upon when it's all said and done, then what suffering have you really, really incurred? Those are the kind of things that I pay attention to. I'm not an advocate. If you're not in prison, I want you working. Because if you're working, you're contributing to the system. You understand what I'm saying? And I like that. But in the same breath, I don't think that if you're banned for life from being a head coach in the NCAA, that you should somehow, some way, finagle your way into a job as a head coach on the NBA level. Not saying that the likelihood of that happening is there, because it is slim, but I'm saying you should eradicate that. Outside of that, I would like attention brought to the shoe companies, because that's the one thing that the commission has not mentioned.
Yeah.
They pay high school coaches, they pay AAU coaches, they pay college coaches, for crying out loud. Some of the contracts that these college coaches are able to get for themselves, the monetary gains that they get, a lot of times these shoe companies are financing them. I didn't see that addressed nearly as much as it should have been.
How about they didn't address paying players? They didn't address paying them for their likeness. They thought the NCAA is going to be able to run all camps. How is that realistic?
Well, the issue